Good morning, everyone. Hi, hope you're doing well today. Welcome to Unity of Kitchener and Ottawa's online/hybrid service today. We're grateful to be sharing this special time with each of you. So today, as you know, or many of you know, that Kitchener is having their first hybrid service ever. So we're very happy and excited for them. So hi, everybody in Kitchener. Hope you're doing great and are having amazing time together today. My name is Cheryl Driscoll, and I will be your service facilitator for today and the prayer partner. Move my things around here. So in line with our topic for today, I wanted to share a couple of photos that are from where I live. So actually, Anne and I live in this area. That's the Gatineau Hills. And just to the right, that's the Gatineau River. It's fed by the Ottawa River. And about 100 feet from that river, I had an amazing spiritual experience that guided me to move to the region because I visited for a decade and felt it was time to move here. It was actually, I was guided. It wasn't as though I just decided. I was told, move here now. So 6 weeks later, I was living in Wakefield. And it is an amazing area. And now this is where I have all my present spiritual experiences in this yard. And I'm having a great time with that. So, and we are also, just like Ottawa, we are on the lands of the Anishinaabe. And they are Algonquin peoples. And what I've also noticed, though, from this area is that we also have a lot of Ojibwe. So, and Anne and I have been blessed to have visitors who are both Ojibwe and Algonquin to our lands and to our present stewardship of this land. And we have actually in our extended family a young Algonquin man who is an organic tea farmer. So we've been able to enjoy a lot of his amazing teas, and you can find them all over Wakefield and La Pêche region. He's selling those now. So from here, I'm just going to move into our land acknowledgement. So we begin the service by acknowledging the Algonquin Nation, on whose traditional unceded territory we're holding this online service. We gratefully acknowledge them as past, present, and future stewards of this land. And I invite you now to take a moment and connect to the earth where you live and send gratitude from your heart to the Indigenous stewards of the land on which you are presently seated. Today, both UK and USCO are having community circles. So at USCO, if you would like to stay on this link following the service and come back for noon, then you'll be able to enjoy discussions about the present and future experiences ahead for USCO, and as well at the Kitchener Community Center where they are today. They will have the opportunity to have their community circle as well. We have 4 amazing Unity speakers today. I'm very excited to later be able to introduce. There's Anne Tedio, Sue Hagar, Reverend Barbara, and Linda McCabe. So I think we're gonna have a great experience today with them sharing spiritual experiences arising out of events where they were or places where they've traveled. So that's exciting. So at the end of this prayer, if you can join me in making a statement here on the screen, that would be marvelous. So just take a moment to embrace a deep, long, slow breath and connect to the earth where you're seated, keeping your feet on the ground and imagining roots from your feet going down into the earth. Wherever you are, allow yourself to make today a magnificent day. a day of inner peace building and calmness. And so we pray, I am divine peace, I am divine calm. And as we take slow, deep breaths, we are able to feel the wisps of cool air entering our nose and flowing gently down to the bottoms of our lungs, allowing our diaphragm to expand for an even deeper and wider opening to spirit, the breath of consciousness and life. We can now take this moment to listen to that gentle inner voice that welcomes us and guides us even further into our inner peace. Each of us is more and more able to live in loving care of our whole being, such that we can ensure that each day is one of loving inner peace and calm. We are able to release the stuck energies of thoughts that no longer serve us, allowing the mind some room for remembering the good, the love, and the kindness that we are. In this moment, as in the next, we are reminded of our longing to know the One, the substance that is us and through us. And in this way, we are always safe and secure and abundantly blessed to be in this divine life with divine wisdom and abundant health while here on this earth. And please join me in saying that I am divine peace. I am divine calm. I am life. I am wisdom. I am health. And I am the reasoning to ensure that each day is lived in this way. And join me again. I am divine peace. I am divine calm. I am life. I am wisdom. And I am health. And I am the reasoning to ensure that each day is lived in this way. Blessings to all. So be it. Please join me now in our first song. That was a wonderful song. Thank you, Lynn Atterbury, for your song choices today. That's fun. I love Tim McGraw. So we are definitely taking a deep dive today. We're making it a little more personal, which is exciting because we are learning a lot in terms of spiritual tools and spiritual vocabulary this past year by really honing in on that deep dive, which has been very exciting. And today, I'm going to welcome our first speaker. Let me just see where we're headed here. We have 4 amazing Unity speakers ahead and discussing spiritual experiences while on travel or having experiences while at an event. And I'd like to welcome our first speaker, my lovely spouse, Dr. Ann Tedio. And if you can join us, that would be fabulous.
I'm here. Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm very happy to be able to share with you some of the findings I've had. I took 2 days of a mini retreat in Montreal this past week. And I realized that it's needed to take the time away from the busyness of your life, from the routine, because finding time to actually sit and be present may not be as easy in our busyness. So to take the 2 days away in a self-guided silent retreat for me was really required and very helpful in doing some self-realization and self-reflection. So I didn't go empty-handed. I took a few books with me. I had already been working with The Living Consciousness of Gay Hendricks, and I like that book because it actually asks questions. It gets me to think about what I'm feeling, how I am experiencing things. So actually to go deeper and take the time of prayer and reflection to get some of the answers and get to my highest wisdom. So I had that book with me, and then I did take a couple of books on prayer because I come from a Roman Catholic background, and I wanted to change the way I use prayers and how I address prayers. So I went with those books and went to Montreal, stayed close to the oratory, Saint Joseph, and spent 2 days there this week. So what have I found is that I need to accept the parts or accept the past and all the feelings that it brings and to let it go. And then that I need to breathe into my resistance, because I find that it's one thing to say it, it's another to actually live it. And this breathing and deep breathing and slow breathing is something that I need to continue practicing. And while I was by myself, pacing myself slower, taking the time, it enabled me to be able to get deeper into my reflections and to actually take the time to listen to what was coming up and taking notes. So following that first realization, I came to make this commitment, which is I, Anne Thériault, commit to living my life in expanding waves of love and consciousness. And that has brought me to giving no power to my fear of my divine potential because of my human limitations. I am divine at all moments. I am full potential. So now, knowing that, knowing and finally realizing what it meant to be part of that web of oneness, how do I actually get to live it? How do I actually feel it? And it's this space that I've been in for the last few days, is to actually realize that I'm not divine just when I want to be. I'm not divine just when I actually take the moment to pray. I am divine at all times. So do I realize that? Do I actually feel that? And since I've been thinking that way or wanting to feel it, it's been a different experience for me in the last few days. So it's like having goosebumps, realizing that I'm part of that web at every moment of my life, every time I breathe. It has enabled me to be able to be more appreciative and grateful for everything that surrounds me. It's been easier for me to actually pray. So instead of taking a moment in my day to actually pray, I can pray every time I breathe if I think about it, right? So that's what it has done for me, this mini journey. It's been just 2 days, but it's been amazingly energizing and deepening for me. I was trying to explain to someone yesterday how I was now seeing my purpose. And the picture that came to my mind from my highest wisdom is a lighthouse. So the lighthouse is a beacon. It's being the best lighthouse as it can be. It will not go out there and rescue the boats. Each boats have to do their own work. And that's what I have to learn, is to let go of other people's needs and their own journeys, and letting them take their time to doing it, and just being the best lighthouse that I can be. And so that was the most simple image that I could give you to show you that right now I'm understanding. For me, I am seeing myself as a lighthouse. And from that, I have also learned to say that I love myself as I am right now. Not what I'll become, not what I was, but what I am right now, who I am right now, a beautiful woman, present and aware. And for that, I am so happy and grateful to learn and love as much as I can every day right now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anne. That was beautiful. Okay, so I'd like to welcome our next speaker. This is Susan Hagar, and everybody knows Susan as the longtime president of USCO. And she is in Ottawa for a little bit. She's returning to Peru soon, which is now her home. And she's going to be sharing some insights on her travel to and within the Sacred Valley of Peru, and how this has impacted her spiritual life. So thank you so much for joining us today, Sue.
Thank you, Cheryl. Nice to see everybody. Excited to be in Ottawa and hopefully to see all of you next week in person. And thank you for your insight, Anne. That's really helpful to me to hear from you. And I think I felt like it was a bit of a trick question today to ask about spiritual experiences arising during times of travel, because, all my life is a spiritual experience, and traveling just shows me a few things about me. And if any of you have heard about travel lately, it comes with a lot of lumps and bumps. And so there's a lot of spiritual and sometimes not so spiritual feeling experiences with air travel these days, delays, powerlessness, fatigue, physical exhaustion, uncertainty. And so as we all know, practice, praying, meditating, doing mantras all the way back to Ottawa. And I realize how grateful I am, in contrast to likely a lot of my fellow travelers, that I have this practice, this mindfulness, this self-reflection that builds a muscle called faith, that all is well, no matter what it looks like. And, talking to my daughter this week about some things she's going through, and I said, it's like exercise, these hard things, they hurt, but they're building that muscle of faith. And this is what I really feel travel has helped me with so much. My goal is just to not mind any of it, to see it as a teaching for me, something I can work with. It's the schoolroom of life. It's some material. And so to that end, to say that part of our path to Peru was really in the 90s, between 1996 and 1999. Michael and I, my husband and I, were working very closely with Grandfather William Commanda of the Algonquin Nation, who many of you may know of. And we traveled with Grandfather and his firekeeper, Peter, through the Americas, North, South, Central America. And, attending all these indigenous gatherings, fire ceremonies, sweat lodges, really woke me up to earth stewardship, to the 7 generations, the spiritual connection to the earth, fire, water, air. And honestly, this white woman growing up here in Ottawa, that's not an education I had received. And so this, at 34 years old, when this began, this was very much a spiritual awakening for me. And it led us on our path to be connected with my teacher, who you see on the screen, Wearu Waita. This is a recent picture of us in Peru where he's giving me a teaching as we're wandering through the mountains. And I first traveled to Peru in 2004 and probably 30 plus times since then. And I was learning about the indigenous ceremonies of the Queros people there and their Pachamama teachings. And something I learned that was very profound is what's called Ayni, A-Y-N-I, which means sacred reciprocity. And I came to understand that they don't even have a word in their language that is thank you, because thank you in a way is separative. There's a you and there's a me. And they see it differently. Their culture is so community-based that they understand it's really a matter of coexistence, and all of us have something to offer. We're working together for the greater good. So, when you're working with them in a kitchen, doing a big gathering, they're not saying, oh, thanks for this, thanks for that, oh, thanks for helping me. That's just not a word. It's an understanding that everything we do in this life is together for the greater good. And so I thought that was quite incredible how words can be divisive for us. All these things I've woken up to through the Indigenous. And just to move on from that, however, the most incredible experiences, spiritual experiences in Peru for me are really based in the lost Inca teachings, the Gnostic teachings of the Inca, which really teach esoteric science. And that's not something people are mostly familiar with. But in these lands of the Inca, all of these sacred sites where the Inca studied in mystery schools, which are called ruins now, are actually time they spent. They go 2 years at a time in these sacred sites. They would live there and they would learn these teachings, and powerfully transformative teachings that are about the liberation of consciousness, that makes so much to me around elimination of the ego and the freedom that comes with that. And the most important piece, though, in terms of awakening for me, is the fire ceremony in the heart. It is the internal fire ceremony. So while I had spent so many years with the Indigenous learning the external fire ceremonies, I've come to really value and appreciate the very most is the internal fire ceremony, the one in my heart. The mother God who, just like my own mother, I would go to her if I was in pain, if I was confused, if I was looking for advice, if I was feeling sad. There's this fire within me where my mother is, where I bring everything to my mother God. And I'm grateful to her. And through her fire, she helps me eliminate these egos that we all have, much like a virus, really, that have contaminated the minds of humanity. And so it really has helped me to get more on purpose, I believe, with my soul's desire in this lifetime through this revival of mystery school that we're doing here in Peru. Well, I'm not here in Peru, but in Peru. And so an incredible experience and a gift that keeps on giving. And had I never traveled to Peru, I likely wouldn't have perhaps had the impact that it has on my life from actually going through these sites and experiencing the energy of these teachings through my teacher, Wiaru, and also just as they land in my own consciousness and I make sense of them. And then I just keep doing the work. You know, the work is the work. It's the practice, practice, practice. And while I enjoy going to the ceremonies of the Indigenous, I really love that every day, much like Anne said, in every moment, I can be prayerful. I can turn within to the fire within, to my mother, internal Father, Mother, God, and I can be comforted and I can feel like all is well, no matter what. That I'm human, that in every moment I can surrender to whatever it is and have this liberation. So I am very grateful for the experiences of travel, and I welcome any one of you to reach out to me if ever you'd like to go to Peru and have any such experiences. I would love to facilitate that for you. And thank you for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you so much, Susan. That was wonderful. Okay, so let us invite our next speaker. I just want to say how much I value the two speakers we've already had. It's such a joy to see how deep Unity people go and how much they're willing to share. Thank you for that. So today, our next speaker is Reverend Barbara Schreiner-Trudell, and she is the present prayer chaplain for Unity Canada, and she's with Unity Kitchener today, live in person. So welcome, Reverend Barbara. You can take over now.
There we go. Having a little trouble unmuting here. So I am really, really glad to be here. It is truly a privilege to be invited to do this. And what I want to share is a moment that occurred through the convention that I went to, the Unity Convention in June. When I attended the convention, I was there with my walker. I was there in considerable pain, which I've been in for years, as I had a condition called spinal stenosis. And what happened for me was I went there with the intention that if Myrtle Fillmore can heal herself in the 1800s, well, surely I can do it today. So I attended this convention. Cheryl Rogers was my roommate, and she watched me, crawling out of bed in the morning, all crippled up. And what occurred was on the Thursday of the convention, when I went, I was clear. I am healed. End of story. I am healed. That was my mantra. And when Thursday morning rolled around, I still took my walker into the convention hall and took my chair close to the edge so I could leave if I needed to. And somehow, some way in that morning's meeting, I experienced a healing. I stood up at the end of the meeting to talk to the speaker, the person who had done the prayers, the singer who beautifully closed out the session, and I had no pain whatsoever. I was completely, in that moment, healed. I went back up to the room, took the walker up there, left it for the remainder of the time, and that evening at the wonderful banquet, I was able to dance, which I had not done in years. The journey to transformation occurs with an intention and focus, and prayer has always been a big, big part of my experience in ministry. And when I heard the stories of Myrtle Fillmore, I kept thinking, why am I living the way I'm living? Why am I choosing to be in this position when obviously there is an alternative? It required that I shift focus, and the focus became very clear, very present, that I am healed. I am health, that my body is strong, vital, and vibrant. And today, I do not use a walker. I don't need a wheelchair to get around when it's a long walk. And I'm wearing high heels today as I'm out and about celebrating with the Unity Kitchener people. And I just feel so honored and privileged to be able to share this story, because the idea of healing is something that sometimes we look at and go, well, maybe somebody else can do it. Or, that happened then, maybe their faith was greater. But this morning I was reading in one of my books about Myrtle Fillmore's, strategy for healing her body. And it's really about accepting, acknowledging, and loving ourselves where we are. And when Anne spoke earlier, I love that time of solitude and silence, because that really is a place of invigoration and a place of restoring ourselves to what I would call sanity, where we remember that there is a divine presence and it's fully present right here. I don't have to go find it. That healing is a natural aspect of our being, and that it isn't something that I have to have some special dispensation to have. It is the reality of a conscious way of being. And that as I change my thinking, my experience changes. The world looks different to me today. And when I came home from convention, my husband was in awe, because it had been years and years and years since he had his wife back. And we've been out dancing since. So for that, I'm truly grateful. Thank you all for allowing me this time. And I hope something said or done inspires you to take your life back as well. God bless.
Thank you, Reverend Barbara. That is, wow, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you. That's just fantastic. So we're all heading to the next convention at Unity Village, are we? Next year. Bring along whatever you need to work with. So thank you so much. So I'm going to invite now Linda McCabe, who is our next speaker out of Unity, Ottawa. And she is coming to you from Peru. Linda is passionate about traveling and evolving consciousness. She's currently surrounded by the beautiful mountains in Peru, Sacred Valley, yeah. She's a longtime member of USCO, an avid student of the Twin Ray, and is in the process of her certification of the Christic Energy System Level 3 within Twin Ray teachings. She's recently camped in the American Southwest and will share a beautiful moment in her travels to Chimney Peak, okay, in Sedona, Arizona. So I'm going to hand over the screen to Linda. If you just want to go ahead and share your screen.
Well, thank you so much, Cheryl. And it is just a thrill to be here. I've loved every presentation. It touched me deeply, each person with their own nuances, as we all do. And I really love the opportunity to share an aspect of my travels. And, you know, in my experience, as some of the speakers have alluded to, life is a sacred spiritual journey. And I didn't always feel that way. And so whether traveling or, as you were saying, Cheryl, staying put, we have opportunities to grow and advance spiritually. So I chose to, well, I was really working on now, how am I going to, just trying to figure out how to go to my next slide. There. Got a stutter in my finger. So truly life is a mystery, and the light and the shadows coexist together. And for me, as for all of us, life is sacred and it is spiritual. And this was a picture that I took in Antelope Canyon, and I love the way the shadow and the light dance together in one unified way of being. So really, when Cheryl asked me, well, what am I going to speak about? I was like, oh, I've been traveling so much, exploring so much, experiencing so much, growing so much. What am I going to do? I could talk about Peru. I could talk about the sacred ceremonies I'm doing with the Incan priestess I study with, Kirienka. So we were doing a coca ceremony and healing the land. I could talk about my recent trip that I had some peak experiences in Costa Rica. I could talk about the recent retreat with my teachers, the Twin Rays, Shikina Ma and Sananda Ji. Profound experiences there. But I decided to settle on Sedona. You know, I have had this dream in my heart for a long, long time that I would travel in the Southwest. And after the retreat that I was in Ashland, Oregon, I hooked up with my friend Barbara in Wyoming, and we set off in her truck and camper and toured around the Southwest. And I have always wanted to go to Sedona. I'm sure some of you here listening as well. And the website describes Sedona as beneath the endless beauty lies a healing heart, both powerful and sacred, a place of enlightenment. So I was overjoyed. I was like, my dream has come true. So Barbara and I, moving all on its own here. Barbara and I decided we wanted to have one of our journeys, one of our treks in the land guided. So a trusted friend recommended a man named Joseph, a guide named Joseph. Connected with him, set it up. We were to meet him a couple of days later in the parking lot in Sedona, 5 o'clock in the morning. So we set off 4:15 in the dark. It was just like a haze of light coming up. And we arrived in the parking lot and we met Joseph. So I'd like you to meet, Joseph. He is absolutely an amazing, amazing individual. When we met him, he pulled out a bag of feathers out of his truck and he said, take one. Robbie took a gold one, I took an orange one. We piled into his truck and off we went. And you know what? Turns out he's from North Bay. Now imagine, I'm all the way in Sedona and the guide I choose is from North Bay. So he's half Indigenous, and as a result of a vision quest, he moved to Sedona 13 years ago. He nuanced. He was completely devoted to Mother Earth, Pachamama, Divine Mother. He called her Mom. And sometimes I got mixed up in whether he was talking about his own mom or Mom the Earth. But he called the Earth Mom. And he nuanced every bit of nature, the elements, the insects, the animals, the birds, the plants, even the way the trees grew. Every step was an adventure. Every step took us deeper into our hearts. So at one point, he stopped and he asked us about her feathers. So he asked Barbara which one she chose, and she had the yellow one. And he elaborated at great depth about her wisdom and her ceremonies and, you know, her accumulated knowledge and what she was bringing to the earth. And it was all true about her. And I was really getting excited because I thought, there, I got an orange feather. I'm going to get some really good news. So he turns around to me and he says, you need a thicker skin. You're too sensitive. You take things too personally. And you let other people take advantage of you. Wow. I was like feeling crestfallen there. I had myself all pumped up that all the years that I've been doing this spiritual wisdom on my travels and learning and growing and evolving would create for me an opportunity to be recognized as, yeah, like my friend Barbara. But no, the truth is, he was right. This was the perfect feather for me. And that was an area that still needed refinement and growth. I did need a thicker skin. So we continued on our path, and we had to pick up our pace because, you know, it was the sun was starting to peek out. And so we needed to get to the cave that we were heading for. So as the light is starting to shine on Chimney Rock, you can see how beautiful it is. And that is the place that most people go. However, we turned in the opposite direction, and we went to the cave, a lesser known gem. So Joseph introduces us to the cave and speaks into the divine feminine and the honoring of the feminine both within our own bodies and within the earth herself. And we are moving into a time, or we're already in the time, where the divine feminine is rebirthing itself within all of humanity. And so Barbara and I took turns going into the cave and really connecting with the wisdom of Mother Earth, Pachamama. And both of us received messages. And then we got ready for the ceremony, and we each held out our feather. Barbara was first, and he, just said, set your intentions. And then he lit the feather on fire, and I don't have pictures of that. And he watched so intently, he listened, and he observed, and he then interpreted what happened with her feather, indicating she had lived a really deep life, having cleared so much baggage and limitations. So then he turned to me, and I held out my orange feather. And I was really curious to see how, what would show up with that. And so he burns it, and he notices, but before he burned it, he noticed the way the feather was shaped and was kind of curved. And he said, oh, well, that indicates that your path, you've had a lot of pain, a lot of challenges in your life. But now you see there's a curve here. And that curve means that you're on a new path and a new trajectory, and that your life is going to expand in a different direction. And so he burns my feather, and it burns clearly down to the down to the quill. And there's just a lump of congealed burnt feather on the end, and that fell onto the ground inside the cave. And he said, that indicates that you have had some challenging relationships, but the one that you are most challenged with seems to have resolved itself, or is in the process of completing. So that was a good sign, and I felt quite good. So I went back in the cave, activated my crystals, and connected again with Pachamama just to receive another message. And then it was Barbara's turn, and she went in, and she was so drawn to just being one with Mama. And she curled up, and she said she felt like she was being held by Divine Mother herself. So then Joseph had us breathe our intentions onto this beautiful dream catcher that a friend of his makes. and then hung it in a tree. And so we watched as wind blew our intentions across the land. So I have so many wisdom stories from Joseph. That was the one that I chose to share. And, you know, Joseph was one man who followed his vision and manifested a life of healing and guiding others out of the patterns of their shadows, their grief, and their challenges. I ask you, what is your vision? What have you resisted doing? What is one small decision you can make in the direction of your dream? The world needs your unique gifts. Both Barbara and I fell in love with the magnificent heart-centered man that is Joseph. So if you ever journey to Sedona, let me know and look up Joseph. He's a real deal. And in closing, I would like to encourage you to embrace life's never-ending miracles. Be grateful for everything, even the tough stuff, because that's where our soul is here to work through, so that we can reveal more and more and more of our divine nature, of the truth of who we are, which is love. Never be afraid to try something different. You will always benefit, even if you cannot see the outcome. So that was Barbara and I with an opportunity to try the old-fashioned tintype photos and illuminated another aspect of who we are. So I thank you, and I will stop my screen share, and I'm going to lead us in a little meditation. As soon as I unstick my well, just a moment, I gotta find it. So while we're waiting for me to find it, I would invite you to please put yourself in a really comfortable position and take a deep breath. And if you've not already done so, I invite you to close your eyes and really, really focus inward. So as you take a deep breath in, allow it to fill your entire torso. Feel your breath. And as you breathe out, notice how effortless the breath is. And on your next breath, feel your breath as it moves past your nostrils, filling your torso, filling your body, breathing out effortlessly. Continue breathing in and out at your own pace. Feel the brain, which can be so tight, so tense. Relax the brain, the face, the mouth, the jaw. Relax shoulders, back, hips, and legs. Feel the strength of the floor, of the chair support your body. Feel your feet against the floor. Continuing to breathe in and out, see or imagine that each breath you take, you are drawing in tiny particles of sparkling light, flowing softly and gently through the top of your head, moving through your entire body, entering each cell. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in the particles of light and breathing out the particles of light. There is nothing to do. Nothing at all, just effortless breathing. Composer Barry Goldstein calls the breath the soul of God. Imagine or get a sense that this breath carries the vibration of love. Love flowing in, filling the heart, filling every cell, nurturing and nourishing the cells, helping them to remember who they really are, helping the cells to remember they are love. Your cells are God particles. Continue breathing in love and breathing out everything not of love. As a child of God, you were created to create the good, the holy, the beautiful. God is love, and therefore so are you. Feel the embrace of this love wrapping itself around you as we enter the silence, saying silently to yourself, I am a loving, compassionate presence. I am a loving, compassionate presence. I am a loving, compassionate presence in the silence. I am a loving, compassionate presence. I am healed, healthy, and whole. My body is strong, healed, and vibrant. I am love itself. And breathing into this love, this grace, this breath from the soul of God, know you are love and you are loved. As you bring your awareness back to the breath, feel the chair beneath you, feel your feet on the floor, and wiggling your fingers, bring your attention back to the room, the space that you're in, opening your eyes, and preparing for the remainder of the service.
Now to offer the spiritual community blessing. Through the wisdom gifts shared by our guest speakers, the music and prayers, we are offered many opportunities to discover, understand, and grow our spiritual nature and expand our prosperity. So let us now know our good by saying the words of this blessing together. We are abundantly blessed. Creative people are drawn to us. Divine ideas flow through us. Financial resources bless us, and we accomplish mighty works together. Remember us in the sharing of your prosperity. We exist in part because of your generous financial support, which enables us to live our mission of expanding consciousness and transforming lives. The many ways to give to USCO are outlined in the weekly newsletter and on the website at www.unityottawa.org. And you may also find information for Unity Kitchener in their newsletter and on their website.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say I am so grateful for each person who has given out their time and talent today to uplift us all this Sunday. And I am grateful for each of you for saying yes and being present. it has been such a joyful experience today to watch and hear the speakers. I am totally grateful and just ecstatic to know you and to have you in our community. Thank you so much. So we welcome your feedback on our service today. Please send your comments to the office at officeunityottawa@yahoo.ca should you wish to share. And coming next week, we have a hybrid service in Ottawa, and we will be welcoming Chris Peacock. And she is a lifetime musician who is also the music director of In Harmony, which is a women's chorus in Ottawa. And she will be speaking on the spiritual journey through music to be in flow. She's a very bubbly, fun-loving person, and I hope that you will join us to hear more about music and spirituality with Chris. Now, please join me in saying the prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Please do share the names of individuals you'd like to have prayed for this week ahead. Now we have a special treat. This song is usually sung by the wonderful people from The Sound of Music, and this time we have the Texas Tenors singing this song. It's quite fun. Wow, that was very touching. So each of us at Unity K and Unity of Ottawa, our groups have our spiritual circles, our community circles today. And you can stay now for a little fellowship between the two unities if you'd like to right now. And then come back at noon in Esco, I think it's a little later, at Unity of Kitchener for your community circles where you can share all sorts of good discussion with your community explicitly.